Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and today for my countdown to Christmas video I'm going to be trying some chapters. So as you would have seen from the title, I am trying 3 winners of the Goodreads challenge. If you don't know what the Goodreads challenge is, it's basically Goodreads is an app where people track their books. I know a lot of us in this community use it to track our books, set our goals, do all those fun things. And the Goodreads Choice Awards essentially is where I think they pick the most popular read books on the platform and then they enter them into this competition. So if a book has been read X amount of times, it'll go on to be a nominee. So when I was going through and looking at the Goodreads Choice Awards, I hadn't actually read that many of the books, in complete honesty. And I thought, well, I would love to do a video where I read the books in the genres that I am interested in. Now, I do not have the time for that this side of Christmas, and I wanted to do this video this side of Christmas, so I thought I'll take some pressure off myself and I will try a chapter instead. So there are 3 categories that we are going to be trying today. So the first one will be the fantasy winner, which is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. The second will be the sci-fi winner, which is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. And then the third one will be the YA fantasy winner, which was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. So I'm going to try the chapters of these 3 books, and then I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe give you some thoughts about them. To give you some backstory about the books that I actually did read that were in the Goodreads Choice Awards, I read Yellowface, which I really enjoyed, and it was a pleasant surprise actually when I read it and finished it. And then I think Fourth Wing, and I think those are the only books that I have read. I feel as though the Goodreads Choice, either I'm not reading the hyped books, which is possible because I'm not. I don't read a lot of current releases all the time. But I also don't understand the new sections or categories that they've put in, because they took out middle grade. Not that I read middle grade, but there's no middle grade this year, and they've added romantasy, so I'm not sure if it just depends on what books actually happen to be most read in the year, or if they've changed the categories. I don't know. Anyways, let's give the fantasy winner a go, and I will be back shortly to give you some of my thoughts. So the first chapter wasn't actually a first chapter, it was almost like a prologue, but not. So I've only read that because the very first chapter is titled November, and then from that point on you go back a month, which is the chapter that I didn't read. So the very start, we're kind of left with a lot of questions, which I think is the point, and I do enjoy those sorts of things. I will say I did want, like I said earlier, I wanted to read all of these books beforehand and then do like a whole vlog on them, but starting this one again makes me want to reread Ninth House, because this is the sequel to Ninth House. I did not say that. So I want to go back, read Ninth House, then carry on with this, and I think I might be doing that next year. Well, hopefully I'll be doing that next year. It'd be really nice to cross this off my list, actually. But it has left me feeling rather intrigued as to what is going to be happening next, and I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I can't really tell you too much about this book because obviously it's a sequel, and I don't want to be giving anything away for the first book, but I will say already loving like the dark vibes, because the first book is very much dark academia vibes. You don't get the following the main character through to all of her classes, but you do get that she is studying in Yale. I'm pretty sure it's at least autumnal in some of the book, so you get that, I don't know, like classic Yale. If anyone's watched Gilmore Girls, like I just picture the Yale campus and the autumnal leaves, the different colours, that sort of thing. And yeah, I really love the setting for these books, so I want to reread the first one before jumping into that one. So next up we have the sci-fi winner, which is In the Lives of Puppets. I don't know an awful lot about this book, but I know a smidge. So I know that our main character fixes up robots, and he lives in a small home. He's called Victor, and he lives with 3 robots, and they discover another one, I think. Still got my receipt in here, which is one of the few I've actually received this year. Salvages an unfamiliar android labelled Hap, and he realises that Hap and Geo share a dark past. So when Hap is turned back on again, he unwittingly gives the location of Geo, and then they set off on a quest to go and save Geo back from whoever took him in the first place. So that is my amazing description. I'm going to try this first chapter and we're going to see how we go. And it might be one that I really want. Oh, there's another prologue in here. Oh dear. So the prologue's really not that long. Is chapter 1 long? Because he is known for... I'll try it and I'll come back and tell you what I think. So I read the prologue and then I read the first chapter, which I probably should have done with Hellbent. But anyways, I did it with this one because the prologue for this actually is a prologue, and it explains how Victor comes to live with Giovanni, which was quite a interesting way for that to happen. So Giovanni stumbles upon this rundown house and decides that that is where he is going to make his home, and then over the years he creates not only that home but he builds up into the trees, and he has this moment where he says, "They will never find me here." So you're left wondering, who is it that could possibly be looking for him? Is he running from something? And there are little inklings that he pushes his sleeves up his forearms, and there's like little hints that he's not exactly fully human, but but that's it. That's all that's mentioned. And then one day this man and a woman run and call for help, and he offers them sanctuary in his house, and they say, "No, just take the baby," and he is given a baby and they disappear off. And it's then just a little description of Giovanni, and once he's named Victor, through the first few years of his life. And then the first chapter we are shot forward until Victor is 21 and he's climbing a heat pile in search of a circuit board. And there are hints that he fixes robots, and you meet 2 of the robots that he has built himself. So you get that idea that he has been raised by Giovanni, and now he builds robots, but to what extent I don't know. There is mention of old ones, which I'm not too sure what that means. It seems as though it was a truck that was blaring about an intruder alarm because he was in the scrapyard. Not too sure. I'm sure as we got further along it would explain more. I will say this doesn't have the same vibe to me that House in the Cerulean Sea had from the offset. It's a little bit more straight in, I suppose, with like some, I don't know, adulty things, but not massively. I don't know how to really describe that too much. It's just a very different vibe, if I'm honest. Whereas Linus in House in the Cerulean Sea is very much a 40-year-old man, and he has just lived the same life day in, day out. This is a 21-year-old who knows there is a bigger world out there and knows that there are other people out there, but hasn't had that life experience yet. So I'm guessing that is what he is going to get when he goes looking for Giovanni later in the book. So it sounds like it could be a good time. I'm interested to see where that one goes as well. I don't really know why that one sci-fi. Once we've read Divine Rivals, we'll go back and we'll look at the other finalists and just kind of see if any of them stand out more within these categories, or if there is another book that I thought would have won over these 3. So this is Divine Rivals. This is the YA fantasy winner. There is obviously going to be romance in here. And it is when 2 rival journalists find love through a magical connection, their fate depends on their facing the depths of hell together. Enemies to lovers. Let's give it a go. And there I have read the prologue and the first chapter of this book too. So the prologue of this book is showing Iris's brother Forrest going off to war. So Iris is our main character in this book, and we are introduced to Forrest briefly. He's going to war. It's very much a World War II setting, but the war is between 2 gods rather than 2 countries. But it feels very much 1940s-esque in the way it's written. Iris makes 2 promises to her brother before he leaves. One is to stay in school and one is to take care of their mother. And then we fast forward 5 months into the first chapter where she has left school and broken that promise to her brother. But we get a hint that she's done it not necessarily because she just wanted to, more so because she needed the money. And we are also introduced to our enemies to lovers character, who is called Roman Kit. And they are both vying for the same columnist placement in this paper, and they're writing on typewriters, which is why I get that kind of 1940s feeling. I'm not sure. We know from the description that Iris's brother is due to go missing, and in the first chapter Roman gets the last assignment, which is to look into lost soldiers of war, which I'm guessing within the next couple of chapters is going to come to light that Iris's brother is among those that are missing. The writing style is alright. I don't know, it feels very YA still, very much. We are seeing Iris as a struggling, not very well off character, and it is mentioned within the first chapter that Roman is quite well off, his family have money, and it's kind of that imbalance of power as well. So it's interesting to see. But as I said, let's have a look at the other ones that were put forward. We'll go backwards. We'll start with Divine Rivals because that was the last one. So this is the winner of the young adult fantasy. The other books that I recognise on here were A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, which is the 3rd book in her Once Upon a Broken Heart series, The Stolen Heir, Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, Studying Drowning is in there. I did vote for that one because I did read that one, and then there's quite a few on here that I just don't recognise really. There is a big difference as well between this and A Curse for True Love. This got 117, well, over 117,000 votes, and then A Curse for True Love only got 57. So this must be good, because a lot of people voted for it. Then let's go to sci-fi. So science fiction again was In the Lives of Puppets. This got 57,500 votes, which again isn't as much, so maybe just more people were voting for YA, I'm not too sure, with Lightbringer being a very close second actually at just over 46,000. So I would have thought Lightbringer would have won more. I don't really recognise a lot of the sci-fi ones on this list either. I do recognise Children of Memory, which is the 3rd book in the Children of Time series by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I never say that right, I'm very sorry. But he's quite a ways down the list actually. And then Starter Villain is in 3rd place, which was a release obviously this year, but I think that was September this year that came out. I do have an arc that I'm yet to review, so I need to do that soon. And then finally fantasy, so Hellbent won with 75,800 votes, and then Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson actually was second with just over 57,000, and then 3rd was A Day of Fallen Night with 39,000. Wow, closer to 40,000, but that's still quite a ways difference. Again, I don't know if it's because more people were reading these books. Brandon Sanderson has a massive pull. I'm amazed that only one of his books made this list. I don't know if that's just standard. There are quite a few actually on the fantasy list that I recognise and that I do want to read. I just haven't got round to reading. And those include obviously Tress, A Day of Fallen Night, which you can just see behind me. What else? The Fragile Threads of Power, the new V.E. Schwab book, Swordcatcher, the new Cassandra Clare book, Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, Starling House, The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, The Will of the Many. There's quite a few on here that I actually recognise and I have on my want to read shelves. I would have thought maybe something else would have won, like Brandon Sanderson, but I'm quite glad that Leigh Bardugo did win because I really enjoyed Ninth House, and I'm glad to see that the sequel has done well for itself as well. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below whether you've read any of the books in this video, or if you think something else should have won the Goodreads challenge. If you want to just leave me an emoji, leave me any trophy emojis for the Choice Awards. And if you want to see more of me, please consider subscribing down below and ring that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I'm uploading every single day until Christmas Eve, so be sure to come back tomorrow for another video. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Bye.